Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Blueski fame. I'm going to call it Blueski because that sounds like Blueski and I have a personal relationship. And welcome to Avatar The Last Podcasters. Chris, how are you? What have you been up to?
I have been fine. Been working on a Mr. Freeze custom, which is actually looks it's coming out great. Like the accessory stuff coming out great. My only stupid issue is that I don't know the right color scheme to go with, which is annoying me. Because like there's a color scheme that I should go with, which is like more silver with black, with like slight blue accents, like blue on the legs and blue on the gauntlets. But I've already have like two action figures that has that same color scheme. And so that's annoying, figuring out the color scheme.
I.
The
Hmm,
you can go ahead.
no, I think I understand where you're coming from on the annoyance, but I think I would still be drawn toward what felt like the right color scheme for the character rather than its placement in the room, which, may or may not change or move or balance itself out in some other ways.
Now the thing is, I will probably get to the point. So I painted it, and it was very blue on top. I was like, it's gonna be too blue, because also the dome is like a slight shade of blue from what I got. 'Cause I got it from this Mr. Freeze toy, and usually the domes I get are clear. I've also been googling the crap of potential clear domes. Um, but then I'm like, all right, well maybe I'll add silver here to just take away from the blue. And I just know that I'm just gradually turning it with each change, just turning it into the kind of the normal scheme that I would normally go with.
Understood. Have you tried? Sounds so dumb. Listen, sometimes flip a coin, roll a die, let fate make your decision for you.
No,
No.
no, thank you. No, no shot. I'm deliberate with. Nah, that sounds crazy.
All right, well, I'm out of ideas. I
But
I did just
the
I just
oh,
got
once
go
I
ahead.
would say the other thing. So I'll wrap up. So I went to Hobby Lobby today, and I found an Avatar poster there. So for those who care to shop at Hobby Lobby, found this canvas Avatar poster here. It is $24.99. I
That's
thought it was
great.
on sale at first for 40% off, but it's not. It was $24.99. I thought about this possibly being a prize, but we might probably already have enough prizes for the trivia.
Yeah, I mean, feels like you pulled together a solid number of prizes.
Yeah. The other cool thing about this is that it glows. I should have did that with the lights off. One second. Oh yeah. The other thing about this is that it dun 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 dun
Oh, that's
dun
kind of
dun dun
sick.
dun dun dun
Yeah,
dun
that
dun
looks
dun
great.
dun 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 dun. It does look really cool. But anyway,
Yeah, he looks fantastic. I think we got enough prizes. Hang on to it. And,
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Anything that someday you decide, I don't want that anymore. All right, well, that's next year's prize. The circle of Avatar product life. That's fantastic. Uh, Chris, it's Valentine's Day, I guess, or the day after Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day weekend. And it's a stupid holiday, but I think it's stupid. I don't think you're stupid. If you don't think it's a stupid holiday, that's completely fine.
I
I just
also
don't
think
enjoy
it's
it. I really do. But if you enjoy it, that's great. And
yes.
please enjoy. Find whatever excuse you want to find to add more joy to your life. Go ahead and do it as long as it's legal and
It's less stupid
morally
than
correct.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, well, it's more fabricated. New Year's is New Year's.
It is a
Uh,
thing. I don't know if it's a thing that needs celebrate. It's almost the opposite, right? It is a thing, and it's not
we're such
fabricated.
Scrooges.
But
We're such Scrooges
wait,
when it comes to third off. We're like,
I listen. I try really
that's why
hard.
they both completely agree on it.
Yeah.
We don't all often completely agree on something, but we're like, yeah, holidays are.
Most holidays are garbage. I try. I'm not good at a lot of things. I think I'm pretty good at celebrating my marriage and spoiling my wife basically every day and vice versa. And so when it comes to Valentine's Day, it's like, what more am I supposed to do? Don't set this standard for me, Hallmark. But it will probably be, if the baby hasn't already come right now by the time you listen to this, it will probably be like our last outing. So we did go out of our way to book a nice restaurant. And here's to hoping that the baby shows up early so that we don't have to go because it's expensive. Just kidding. I'm sure I'll have a delightful time. If we get to
Watch, you're gonna have it at the dinner.
at the restaurant. Water's going to break all over a fancy chair or some shit like that. It'll be horrible.
Then it won't be like the movies. Then once your water breaks, it's not like, holy crap.
They go right to the hospital in the movies.
It's like, you got some time.
You get some wiggle room in there. But anyway, Valentine's Day, celebrate if you want. That's great.
I say that, but I'm sure there's somebody who's like, nope. When my water broke, baby's head was crowning.
Right out. Yep, he broke the water himself. He did it.
Do you see the video of?
I don't know where this is going, but we're talking about having a baby, and you're asking me to see the video. I can tell you right now, I did not.
There's an Uber driver. One was in the back of the Uber driver. I believe it's real. It seems very real. I know the internet thinks to be fake. But he's driving, and she's like, "It's coming." He's like, "It's okay. It's okay. Come on. You gotta breathe, mommy. You gotta breathe. Okay." He's Hispanic. I'm not trying to do a Hispanic accent, but he's like, "You just gotta breathe, mommy. Okay." And then the baby's coming out. He's like, "All right, we're all good. Just get it off the seats." And bless the baby, bless the mama. We all good. Let's go to the hospital. Like, he's driving, he's fairly calm.
He's good for him though, for remaining calm in that situation. I'm proud of him, and I don't even know who he is. No, I haven't seen that video though. I don't. I just thus far I've tried to avoid. I'm already kind of scared of hospitals. Not, how do I say this? It's like it's an irrational fear. Like just going into a hospital, like I can walk in, I don't have a panic attack. But the idea of like having a planned operation in a hospital gives me a lot of fear for some reason. And so I'm trying to avoid anything preconceived that has to do with thinking about the hospital. We'll see how well that goes. But yeah, hey, happy Valentine's Day if you're into that. If not, happy Friday. But to recognize,
happy Valentine's Day.
But to recognize that it exists today, Chris, you had a brilliant idea. I love it. We're going to have a ships fighting tournament. Ships fighting tournament. Chris compiled and ranked the only canon 16 ships that we felt like might stand a chance in a fight.
Yes, no Zatara. No Toph here at all. Because she's not really canonically shipped with anybody.
It's not canon. As much as Chris has proven it with science on his own YouTube channel, it's not canon. And what else did we skip that might be controversial? There was some fringy things that we just like, hey, that's not even interesting. But the 15 couples that matter, that could maybe win a fight. Avatars can bend whatever they want. They just can't go in the avatar state. And
yeah, they have full use. We also excluded, another criteria was that each member of the couple had to have been in a fight.
Yes.
And so sorry, Pima was not.
No, but you can't say that because Iwe wasn't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I gotta be honest, I would still dump that one, but it's on there. It's fine.
It's already on.
They can get beat right away. It's okay. It's weird to picture Iwe fighting. And what if it's Moon Iwe, and she just like Mako tsunami raises the tide over the whole battlefield, just tries to drown everybody. Or she's fighting against a waterbender, and that goes against her poorly. I don't know. We'll find out, Chris. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play it. Play it by ear, and it'll be great. So, Chris compiled these couples. He did a great job, Chris. Thank you of compiling and ranking them, just kind of in a general what the popular perception might be of their ranking as a fighting ship, the fighting part support. There's 15, so number 1 is going to get a bye. And Chris, that number 1 is Aang and Katara. I think we both feel that if you just ask the average fan who the number 1 fighting ship would be, I think they'd say Aang and Katara, and I think that's fair. But that means that our first fight is Kyoshi and Rangi. Kyoshi and Rangi versus number 15, Varric and Julie, who we I feel bad, who we decided do not get mech suits. To be fair, I don't think it would matter that much. I think they could have mech suits if they wanted.
It would not have mattered at all. Against Kyoshi and Rangi, they might be kind of surprised by it, but no, they're crushing that. And also,
they would be shocked by the technology that does not exist.
And also, Varric still isn't a capable fighter in the mech suit.
He is not. He is. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Julie carries this team on her back. And
yeah.
I also just, one of my favorite scenes in Avatar, all of it, is the Kyoshi and the Pirate Queen Tagaka scene where she lifts the ground. What do they say? 200 feet underwater that she pulls the earth up.
Something like that. Maybe 200. I don't know meters.
Meters or feet. It was a big number. Yep. And I just in cases like this, I like to just picture her they start the fight. Julie and Varric start wandering forward, and she just cartoon launches them into outer space with just a single sweep of her hand. And I love that scene.
Almost like a seesaw.
Yes.
Where it's I don't know why that.
Just shoots them into the stratosphere. And I know I'm biased towards Kyoshi, but she did it under way harsher circumstances. So to me, this one's easy.
Yeah.
All right, so they won V15. Chris, number 3 is Korra and Mako. Sounds very formidable. Versus number 14, Sokka and Iway. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is another easy fight. That's why this is a 3 versus a 14 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Korra and Mako are easily taking Sokka. Honestly, Mako could probably take them both.
Even if you gave Iway some kind of nebulous power, what would it be that Korra couldn't work with pretty capably? She's the moon, boom, Earth. She's water, tides, water bending. Okay, got it. Yep, okay.
And in this case, I'm not sure I'm talking about her as the moon spirit.
I'd say I don't think that would be fair because we're not even letting avatars be avatar states,
Yeah, exactly.
I think you got to cut it off. So I think okay, easy fight.
Very easy fight.
Number 4 is Korra and Asami, and Asami gets the Equalizer glove. She gets her primary weapon. For what it's worth, Sokka can have his sword. That's also in play. Versus number 13, Speak of the Devil, Sokka and Suki.
It's funny seeing Korra and Sokka. There's this kind of this notion that Water Tribe people get around the most. Because I don't know. Because you just think about
I would have guessed air nomads, man.
True. But think about Korra, Sokka, Avatar Korra, who definitely got around. Who else was it? Katara flirts with various people.
Douchebags.
Who did not make the list.
Didn't make the list.
I mean,
because it's
yeah,
not
could have
canon.
had a full.
Was a
Could have had a
video.
full. I mean, they weren't like a couple.
They never went on a
That's
date.
that's what. Well, that wasn't. Yeah,
You can't
they
be a
weren't a
couple
couple.
if you didn't go on a date.
Yeah, I mean that is true. I guess every single person.
I went on a date with my 8th grade girlfriend, and in hindsight, I wouldn't even call that a couple.
I know she married your best friend.
We went roller skating one time. It was great.
So don't. Hope you don't tell Heather these things.
She's Heather's friend. She literally like she
No.
she like was helping Heather write down names at the baby shower of who like gave her stuff. It's a family friend. 8th grade, any
I,
relationship pre
that's,
16 doesn't matter at all.
that's fair. That's fair. I've been watching. It sounds like a guilty pleasure because I don't value this show that high, but it is kind of the perfect show to watch in the background because I pay I pay not that much attention to it, but still, it's not even familiar with me. 'Cause I only watched the show ever once all the way through. So, but it's still entertaining enough in the background, but also still makes me more mad that this is the worst ending you've ever seen to the show. You know, a show. Try to guess from that description. It is a. I'll say it's a comedy. What show that I might be thinking of?
Worst ending of any show. So I have a guess, and I don't want anybody to be upset when I say it. I'm going to guess Parks and Rec because I hate the last
Oh
season.
no,
I hate
nope,
that
not
last
Parks and Rec.
season.
It's a weird season.
No, I don't. What you got? What's your bad last season?
It
Oh, you didn't
is.
say bad last season. You said bad,
It's not
bad
a bad
ending.
last. I would. Yeah, I would not describe the last season as bad, but the ending is so terrible that it negates so much stuff in the show. It ruins. I would say it ruins the show.
No,
I think it's a worse ending than Game of Thrones.
ooh. At least Game of Thrones was like consistent drop down and then a horrible finale. But like it was already getting bad.
Yeah, I mean, the last season wasn't great, but it was fun. Anyway, the show is How I Met Your Mother,
Oh, okay. Chris, fun fact: never made it the whole way through. It just doesn't click with me. Don't know why.
and that's completely fine. There's never, never I'm watching the show and there are some things in it that's great. Marshall and Lily, the running gag of slaps and stuff that is great because like you can do you know about that slap bet
Hmm?
that they had that Marshall and okay, that's great. But there are like some episodes what they are. I don't know when they come, so I just play it in the background. But my point was, it's connected to this, is that like Ted used to date Robin, and then Robin dated Barney, and also married Barney, and so then that's weird. And then the reason why the show's terrible is that he's the concept of the show is that he's telling his kids how he met their mother, right? And throughout the whole series, you're like, oh, well, who is the mother? And eventually, it gets to the mother, and the mother's great. She's Kristen Miliani, I think is her name. She plays Sophia Falcone slash Gigante in The Penguin Show, which is great. She's a great actress. Love her in really everything she's in. So she did a really great job of living up to finally meeting the mother. And then you meet the mother. They kind of show little things how they got married and stuff. And then by the end of the series, you find out she died of some type of sickness. I forget. And so he's telling his kids the story of how he met your mother. But really, the point of him telling the story is that he kind of wants to get the blessing of his children to go back and date Robin after she and Barney divorced after all these years. And like he's like probably like 50 something years old at this point talking to his kids. And they're like, yeah, Aunt Robin's great like that. Like, and it's been years since the mom has been dead. So to rewatch the show, it's like, why did you like you didn't have to end up you didn't have to end with them two being together, like because they don't seem like they go together at all. They are two completely different kind of people with different goals in life,
Like
different
Ross and
wants.
Rachel, who shouldn't be together.
No, Ross and Rachel should absolutely be together, Sean.
Nope.
I don't know what you're
No,
talking
they
about.
shouldn't.
They
And
should
they're garbage
absolutely
together.
be together.
They're
One,
garbage.
yeah, we should debate
We should.
debate
We should.
couple.
Uh,
I'm
the
getting off. Anyway, completely off tangent,
the
but
only
the ending is terrible.
the only reason I knew that ending is because it's definitely shown up in like one of those clickbaity, like worst sitcom endings ever, alongside Roseanne and King of Queens and a couple others that get like really weirdly dark and stupid at the end. And then, fun fact about Shawn, my guilty pleasure, and it's garbage television, and I hate that I enjoy it. I hate myself for it. Any of the House Hunters like shows where the couple is like shopping around. I love getting mad at those people. They'll be like, I don't know what we'll do with this space. And I just like lose my shit. I love it, Chris. I love getting mad at those people shopping for houses for ridiculous amounts of money in weird places. I love it. I can't. It is my guilty pleasure. I keep it on. No, I keep it on.
Yeah.
Anytime my wife is watching, and she's watching for real, like she's not a bad person. She doesn't hate humans. I'll find an excuse to go sit by her. Like, oh, I brought you some dinner. I'll sit here and eat by you and get mad at these people. Love it. Anyway, Korra Hidasami versus
Korra saw me beat.
Sakatsuki.
Yeah,
It's really hard to be a not bender and come up against an avatar just because of range. Even if nothing else, just range.
mm-hmm. All right. Oh, what do we got next?
LV4. Zahir and Pali, they're number 5 versus 2 children. Janora and Kai. 2 murderers against 2 children.
Yeah.
That worked out so good.
Janora. Okay, we got an Airbender. You know what? The interesting thing is that Zahir would have won if it wasn't for Janora. Like he would have at least gotten away with Korra. If Janora didn't act fast, but she did use the help of all the other Airbenders to touching him down.
A technicality is not the right word, but like it wasn't that Janora beat him.
Yeah. Like Tenzin beat him, and it was hard enough before he unlocked flight. And yeah, Janora wouldn't be able to beat him.
I think,
I was like,
even if they can avoid Pali, just because they're airbenders, they're deft, they're young, they're fast, they hide well. Right? Even if they can avoid Pali, I just don't think they can offensively compete with both. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either. Even though Kai did go up against Pali, like he was doing the whole fly thing. He was able to fly within her. The way that fight was, like she was up here, so he was able to kind of come up and then airbend her out. But even then, it was just more of a distraction, more of a diversion than anything. So yeah, they're not getting.
We never say this out loud. Maybe we picture different things. I always picture these fights happening in an arena, but a giant one, like a soccer field.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, we didn't say it, but yeah, it's some type of big stadium kind of deal with plenty of room, like a Pokemon.
Yes.
Like a Pokemon stadium.
And in my mind, it needs to be big enough that like airbenders can use their airbending to like get away and hide, but not so big they can just go away forever. So, anyway, Chris, number 6. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was gonna say, and the elements are plentiful.
Mm-hmm. A good Pokemon stadium. Not like a trainer gym, like the full on stadiums. Chris, number 6 is no upsets yet, just for the record. Lin and Tenzin. That's a fun late thought that you had there. Lin and Tenzin.
Yeah, I would have been mad at myself if I forgot that.
But as you pointed out, we don't act. It's not within the chronology of either story. So don't beat yourself up. Good catch. Lin Tenzin versus Kuvira and Batar. And if it weren't for one little caveat of Batar not being terribly useful, you would. Yeah, it's like Kuvira's so good. Uh,
Yeah, like if I put Kuvira, if Kuvira somehow dated someone else,
Anyone
it
else
would be.
on this list other than Varric or Yue?
if,
Ah,
if you put Kuvira with Bolin because Eska
hmm?
says that he dates that like that's his
Hmm?
girlfriend because no, she's just my boss.
They would
Same thing.
own. Bolin would distract and Kuvira would incapacitate. They'd be fantastic together.
That'd be an interesting fight.
I think
Yeah.
that Batar might be the third or tied for the most useless person on this list with Yue and Varric. I think he has to be.
Hmm.
No offense, Batar.
I mean, he also. I know we're not including mechs, but he also had mechs. Buggin, we're not including mechs.
Uh, I would say that you could give him a mech in this. I wouldn't like not within the canon of our rules, but I think even if you gave him a
Yeah,
mech, I don't think it would change my opinion because I think Lynn's just gonna just kind of take it
she's a,
apart. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's a dumb thing. Let me get in this metal box
Oh, she
against a
tin
metal
can
thing.
gone.
Yeah,
But I think
crush,
this at
crush
least
it
is.
like
I think this is at least interesting just because of Kuvira's mastery. But I think Lin and Tenzin are both so good and so experienced.
I'm curious where they go in this.
I am
Like
too.
when I put them in, 'cause, just by default, I always put it at the bottom because that's just where the net space is at. And I
Yeah,
just started like scrolling up and up and up and up. They
that
they can
might
go
be
higher.
a. They might be the scrappy little dark horse in our story today. Number
Yeah.
number 7 is Bolin and Eska. Number 10 is Mako and Asami. Eska
Hmm.
and Bolin, Mako and Asami.
I feel like I know this isn't a math problem, but it reminds me of math. If I had an equation that had two things on different sides,
I find the
Bolin and
imbalanced
Mako,
side. Yeah, I understand.
Bolin and Mako, kinda are they're probably pretty close. Even yeah, they're probably pretty close. And so then I think about Eska versus Asami. Hmm.
Chris, I
I
would
would. I
I
mean,
would
I would.
I would posit to you that Bolin and Mako are close, but I think Mako's better. Like if you like twist my arm and make me pick
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Such
So I like
it.
where your head's at with Asami and Eska and what would happen there.
The interesting thing is that so Asami has the equalizer glove, which has it doesn't shoot out electricity or anything, but it does have electricity.
Uh, I mean,
Eska uses water. Uh,
my gut reaction is they both get really hurt by that,
yeah.
right? Like they both are wet and or using water and hits the glove when she's trying to light it up, and then they maybe both
I mean, does
incapacitated.
I guess does Asami think in this fight? The only chance I have is to shock her with this glove.
Take them out and assume that Mako is better than Bolin? Would she make that assumption in that moment? Maybe.
Uh, hmm.
I think she would. I think that Asami would be like, hey, let's level this playing field. I wonder. But the thing that would save Bolin from all of this electrical goings on, first fight we're actually talking about like moves, like
Yeah.
tactics. Bolin would be the safest as an earthbender from any accidental water electrocutions on the field. Um, what would happen here? I'm biased. I want Mako and Asami to win.
I think you just want an upset.
I do. Am I just trying too hard to be an upset here when in reality I'm like still
I
taking
think
two
the
good benders over
I
the
think
equalizer
the
glove?
I think the chance right? You know, if you think about it, of D&D or whatever, even though I never played, um, I think I think the chance of Asami even being able to stalemate Eska, who uses probably more ice attacks. Not that ice would still be shocking, but I feel like it would be less.
Maybe she would
I
do
mean,
that to keep herself from getting killed.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
ice is an insulator. I think once water is frozen, it is no longer conductive. I believe.
Okay, that sounds.
Let me do a quick
That seems
Google
about
while
right.
you continue, Rash. I don't want to say anything too stupid out
Yeah,
loud.
it's funny how much like weird stuff I look up and just in research of Kitsune project and stuff. Like I will look up like how do they make steel in ancient Japan?
Uh, Chris, you could use this for Kitsune.
Like,
Ice conducts it very poorly. It is an insulator, so if he ever needed to protect himself, and
huh?
people didn't know he was a waterbender, little bit ice shield, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, and I do think Eska I've seen her use ice way more than water. And
okay,
I think that's partially due to her being in the north so much. And so I think she just wouldn't naturally gravitate to using ice. Like she uses like ice spikes all the time. In fact, I'm not sure I can think of her using water all that often. So I think, just the chances of her using water and the chances of Asami being able to utilize her glove to do a stalemate between the two is like probably a 20% chance of that happening.
okay. Um, I think what I'm going to boil it down to my head is if they fought 100 times, would one side win more than 50 of those times? And I think, as much as I do like upsets, I do think Bolin and Eska would come out on top at at least 51 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Maybe next time, Shawn.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. It was close. It was good. It was
That's
a
the
good
first one we had to
good debate.
discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. The other ones have been so pretty easy to call.
But the
All right.
dreaded 8-9 matchup, Chris. Zuko
Mm,
and May versus Bolin and Opal.
interesting. May's pretty deadly. Man, that thing. Opal,
May isn't pretty deadly.
she can be pretty deadly with her daggers. I would like if I'm just talking Opal versus May.
You don't think
To
that
me, that's a close
Opal and
fight.
or Bolin, either one would have any issue?
I don't think Bolin would have an issue with May. I think Opal could. I haven't seen her do that much of that.
Intense
I,
one-on-one combat.
yeah, yeah, and she seems somewhat timid, even though she's a little feisty. Just in her especially in her attitude when her mom was taken by Kuvira. So I think that's pretty close. Like to me, they can be close.
I know it's man, this made me sound elitist. It's just really hard in a big space picturing May being that useful against Benders. It's very difficult for me to accept that she would have a tremendous role in a big space.
I've seen May take on and be really active in fights against benders, non-benders. She was about to go up against Azula without a flinch.
That just because she was going to do it doesn't
I,
mean it was a
I, I,
good idea.
I know that's not indicative of what the outcome would have been. It would have been death to her. Like she might have got a shot off at Azula, and then like I could imagine she would have hit a dart in Azula's eye, capable, and then Azula still killed her with lightning, and then Azula then has an eye patch. Oh well, that's an interesting what if. What if Ty Lee didn't step in the way? May gets killed.
I don't want to
Zuko
do
has to
any what
carry her.
ifs where I have to say useful things about May. I just can't.
It's funny. Were you the person I was in a debate with her? Earlier today, this person wrote his that May's a very boring character. Something just kind of, and I said, oh, that's kind of, or that she's kind of just mad. And I was like, well, that's kind of part of her character arc that so, uh, she's
I
been so kind of beaten down by her parents and silenced by her parents that she is left with no real freedom for emotion for herself. And so that's part of her arc. And like her love for Zuko is what makes her to make an impactful decision in betraying Azula.
I don't have much issue with May as a character. I have a ton of issue, and if we go back, this is always my issue of like in a traditional high-ranking Fire Nation family, but as a non-bender, it doesn't fit at all for her to be this stellar martial artist. She's like the son of a politician or the daughter of a politician. She's not. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit her character or what she would enjoy or like.
She trained at the Fire Nation Academy for young girls. We know all the way from Hateron that training is intense training.
Wait, do we know for sure she was at the Fire Nation Academy?
Yeah.
Got that in writing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Azula, when she first meets her, talks about their time at the Fire Nation Academy for girls.
Okay. There's just it's this combative part of her character that I have a really hard time coming to terms with. Doesn't fit her character. And then also I said maybe I'm just a elitist, but again I know we don't have to bucket it because it's not necessarily what happened, but it's like well, if you took Mai versus Opal, I feel like Mai could chase Opal around for a long time and not accomplish anything. Even if Opal's not all that offensive, like Opal if that side was a stalemate, then who would win the other side?
That's the thing. Zuko versus Bolin. I'm taking Bolin. Absolutely. Lava bending. Zuko has no specialty bending. I'm taking Bolin.
Give me. I like Bolin in that fight. I think, but there again, I tend to be a little biased towards like earthbending in big space. I don't know. Zuko's really good. Who'd win? I think Bolin's got more options, and he's got a lot of essentially combative training for professional bending. Even though Zuko is also obviously well trained, give me Bolin on that half. I certainly think that Bolin would deal with May, even though that would be like funnier in a comical way. Zuko would take Opal, so you'd still kind of be left with the same question.
That is interesting. If you flipped it, well, if you flipped it, I think this sets us now. Zuko beats Opal, Bolin beats May, and then it's back to Bolin versus Zuko.
I think Zuko would have a better chance at taking Opal down, even though she's an airbender. Obviously, that's something that Zuko's well versed in. And Bolin taking May doesn't. Just throw some rock around. Just incapacitate her. She can't do anything if she's entombed in rock.
Yeah.
But there again, that leaves you at the same fight at the end of Bolin versus Zuko. Yeah. I know a bias. Give me Bolin and Opal, though. It would be where I'd pitch my vote. Not a heavy vote.
That's right.
Like a 60% vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's close. I think the May Opal fight, I think it's really close. But I think Bolin is the equalizer there, or the
lava bending in an arena setting is fairly useful, I feel like.
Yeah.
Chris, that leaves us at round 2, where finally Aang and Katara, who are on bye, let me make sure I'm doing my math right, get the winner of the 8-9 matchup, which was just now. So Bolin and Opal. So Aang and Katara versus Bolin and Opal. Let me think. Surprisingly close, but if Aang is just Aang's a superior Opal, right? They might both be relatively inoffensive, but Aang is far more useful with the other bending elements and stuff.
Mm.
Uh, same question as last time. It's hard to imagine Opal playing a whole lot of offense independently.
Yeah, and I wonder how fast does it take lava, if cooled by water, to to cool enough where it's not as dangerous? I don't know.
I think reasonably quick. I don't know, not like instantaneous, but I think reasonably, especially if you're like ice bending over top of it, and ice is a good insulator. What's your faith in Katara being like Frozone, just for travel? You know.
Yeah. And if water is readily available, then Aang would be hard to pin down with anyone. Aang versus Opal, that's not fair. Like
Yeah,
Aang would,
he's just the wildly better for you could
yeah,
get it down to a 2 versus 1 fight pretty quick. I feel like.
yeah.
So I think I'm taking the one
I think
seed
it's a,
here.
I think it's a pretty close fight for a 1 versus 8 seed or 9 seed, but I'll take the Aang and Katara over Bolin and Opal.
It feels like the right choice.
Yeah.
2, Kyoshi and Rangi versus 7, Bolin and Eska.
Oh, but shout out to Bolin though. He got in twice in the second round. I think he
He and
might
Mako,
be.
just as brothers, are such a good, fun, interesting pair of like personalities and benders, and they're great. They're great.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, Kyoshi and Rangi versus
Bolin
Bolin and
and
Eska.
Eska.
Lava bidding is still interesting. That's the thing, is that Kyoshi can't bend lava. Although I still think she might be a thing is because sometimes when Bolin bends, sometimes there's like if he's doing like a disc, sometimes there's like a hard part of it if you look at it, and that's like Earth, right? It's not. I mean, lava is Earth, but
Mm-hmm.
like that part is Earth. Like Kyoshi wouldn't to. I'm not sure if Earthbenders. No, they can't bend lava at all. Never mind. Um, but Kyoshi would be able to stop the Earth part, so his disc won't be really, I think, beneficial at all. But actual lava, even the lava itself, doesn't seem like it travels all that fast. It's more like like when he sometimes he does this move and then he turns the lava that's like underneath you. He's not necessarily throwing lava a long distance, like, but only time he does that is when he throws a disc of hot lava.
I think that so again, I'm hard to get off like my Kyoshi bandwagon, but I just picture if Bolin makes a big pile of lava in the middle of the playing field. It's like, oh, we can't Kyoshi just flip it over? Like she can't lava bend; she just grab the earth underneath it.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah, that's true.
and so, not that it's completely useless. It would at least be a distraction or a detraction to Ronki, but I don't think it
Yeah.
would be a huge deterrent.
And Rocky versus Asuka, that's a mismatch. I think that's a bad matchup for Asuka.
I think so too. I think the dexterity type of matchup of Eska's sort of accuracy thrown items. I don't think that bodes well for her going against Rangi, who might find a way to get up close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I'm gonna go with Kyoshi and Rangi over Bolin and Asuka.
I'm sure it'd be interesting, but I don't think I see anything to get me off the Kyoshi bandwagon right now. Win V7, okay. How about Korra and Mako versus Lin and Tenzin? That sounds fun.
Korra and Mako versus Lin and Tenzin. The thing is, I think Mako's the one that, because lightning bending against someone who's wearing a metal
Mm-hmm.
suit, that's bad matchup for Lin.
Uh huh.
And Yeah, I'm gonna take. Yeah, I'm gonna take Korra. Even though it's close, I would take Korra over. I mean, it's not. It's not. I don't think it's that close, but still a good fight. I would take Korra over Tenzin.
I assume
Just the array.
we're removing emotions from the fight, so she'd have no issue. You know,
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
but
Yeah,
again, just being swayed toward having all four elements, and I don't even think that like even lightning bending versus air bending isn't ideal for airbending. Like that's not a great matchup for an airbender either.
yeah. Earthbending would be better.
That's where I would want to be if I was facing a lightning bender. So I think it could be fun, and I really had high hopes for Lynn and Tenzin, but I feel like they run into a not good matchup here with a lightning bender and an avatar. That's I'm with the 3 seed here.
Yeah.
Well, the scrappy little dark horses had a good run. Had a good run. Chris, 4 versus 5 is Korra and Asami versus Zahir and Pali. Korra and Asami versus
Um,
Zahir and Pali.
Korra just versus Zahir. I think even with the flight, if Korra is in full strength, no poison, she can take Zahir.
I think so.
The thing is Pali is the absolute best combustion bender there is, and love Asami, but that glove, no one gets in close to
This
Pali. Like it's
this is a
hard.
terrible matchup for Asami. She's not getting close to either of these people.
Yeah,
This is real bad for
yeah,
her in particular. But you still have Korra.
yeah. I don't see Korra being able to. Combustion benders are some of the hardest benders to face, and Korra is not strong enough to beat Zahir and Pali.
Combustion bending. If we think that, and I do, full disclosure, if we think that Pali can kind of control the field to some degree, like keeping Korra and Asami having to play a little more defensively, um, I feel like that would be really heavily in Zahir and Pali's favor. Like if she could
Yeah,
suppressive fire while Zahir does whatever manipulative, insane idea he would come up with, that would overcome. Again, admittedly, like Korra versus Zahir 1-on-1 doesn't bug me a whole lot. But he can fly, and he's got a reasonably clear playing field if Palit can keep everything at bay. Can
yeah,
he do something offensive enough to both of them? I think so.
yeah. So yeah, I think gonna have to go with Zahir and Pali over Korra and Asami.
It does. It feels a little dirty because it feels like we're mistreating Asami here, but I don't think she's that useful
Yeah.
against either of these people,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. Still love you, Asami. WV4. Nice. Okay. So what do we have now? Sorry, it's going to take me just a half second longer to get reorganized.
I'm just gonna scroll. I'm just gonna push this 5 up, and you should see that. Just so my brain sees it.
So,
Sees the 4 left.
yeah, so my top 4 here, we've got 1 versus 5. So Aang and Katara versus Zahir and Pali.
And then leftover, just went to the community. Leftover in the 2 and 3 is Kyoshi and Rangi versus Korra and Mako.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a
Only
good final 4.
that feels. I think that feels right. I think that feels right. 1-5 matchup first, just by order.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. Well, I keep thinking I'm going to say this thing, and it's like, no, that's crazy.
Mm.
Um,
Zahir and Pali versus Aang and Katara.
I think that Aang would be a little better off versus Pali than Korra is, just by nature of being, maybe a hair more used to evasion, distraction, avoiding combustion bending.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going anywhere with that. I'm just starting to put things out loud. Zahir's
The
interesting
interesting
because
thing is,
Zahir's offense is boiling down to what is Zahir's offensive moves? Is he just pulling air out of people's lungs? What are his other go-to offensive moves? We ever see like wind
I mean,
sickles from him?
yeah, you do. He often uses his staff. He can use a staff. See him use it to make a wind tunnel
Knife
or
tunnel.
funnel.
Okay.
Um, I mean, in his fight with before he even got flight, in his fights, he was. I mean, he looked like an airbender. He looked in his fight with Tenzin. He was a very capable fighter. That was before he got flight. I don't think he's as evasive as say Aang.
But
No, he's
flight
evasive.
helps. We might be talking about
Yes.
the two most evasive
Yeah.
people like on the
Yeah.
board. Um, I don't want to I don't want to overvalue Pali, but in terms of just ranged weaponry, like, can you do better?
I don't see how Katara has any. And I'm not saying they have to go in this match, right? They could either fight group to. They could either tag team, as in like, well, not tag team. They could either do an all out, just 2v2, or they could do a 1v1, 1v1. But Pali versus Katara, to me, that's a huge difference. Like Pali is she's a great firebender, even though she doesn't utilize firebending that often.
Doesn't need
Um,
to. Like,
yeah, like she took on the fire of a dragon straight on and just blocked it, and that's her. And she doesn't use fire that often. Combustion bending, Tara has nothing for combustion bending.
not
Like
really.
absolutely,
I don't think she can. She might be able to throw up walls of ice and deflect, but she's just going to be repeating that, over and over again. I think. Um,
that being said, I think in the fight, I mean, Aang will notice, like, holy crap, no, we got to switch. Like, Katara has a better chance, I think, against Zahir
okay.
than she does against Pali.
Okay. So I like where your head's at. So let's say that Aang distracts Pali just to improve their team's odds.
Yeah.
He's trying really hard to get close to her. He's done it to combustion benders before. Can he do that well enough or long enough to say that, all right, well, what happens in the Zahir Katara fight by itself?
Zahir versus Katara. You know what? Like I said, she has a way better chance against Zahir. One of the things that Korra did in her fight against Zahir, even though she was poisoned, was she iced his foot, which weighed him down because he was no longer as air. Granted, he broke that pretty quickly, but if water is very abundant and also Katara isn't, but Korra was in the Avatar state, so that might have helped. Because she like
Yeah.
threw that ice. She threw that ice like at a flying
Yeah.
person, probably
Wanted
like
style.
yeah, probably like 100 yards away. So
Also,
maybe Katara's not
even
capable of
without
that.
the Avatar state, I still would take my chances on Korra being the better waterbender for like exactly that move. I
Yeah.
think. I don't know if I have a good reason for it. It's just hard for me to imagine Katara beating either Zahir or Pali if they divided and conquered, which feels bad because I don't want Katara to be a weak link because she's not. But hey, we're in the final four. Things happen.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't. This also sounds weird to say. Pali is such combustion benders are such difficult characters. There's a reason why three of them was unanimity.
Hmm?
And Pali is the strongest combustion bender we've seen. Like, how does Aang even deal with Pali? Because Aang isn't like the only way. They say only way you can stop combustion bender. There's these three ways, or maybe not three. There's a couple different ways. Suffocate them, as Yang Chen did, but Aang doesn't do that
Okay,
bending. I
Aang
don't think Aang
doesn't do
either.
that, but we're talking about combat, and we've already said we're removing emotions from the situation. I think you have to give Aang the benefit of the doubt.
Still wouldn't give him that benefit of the doubt because Yang Chen was like, "Don't tell anyone about this move because this move is like unbecoming of an air nomad, and it
I
it
think you've removed that by essentially saying we're battling. Chris, earlier we had two villains kill two kids. I think
well, not kill
I think the
them. I
will
mean, they just
is off the table. The skill for sure. If they don't have the skill to do it, they can't do it. But he has the skill to do it. I think in this case, he knows he has to incapacitate these people. I think he would do it if he had to.
I'm saying that's like Aang saying, "Oh, if I have to kill Ozai, then I'll kill Ozai," but he wouldn't. I don't know. It's close. It's
I'm giving the benefit. He's fighting, and this is we've created a vacuum where they're fighting
but does he
to
even,
victory.
I don't know if that even factors into Aang's head of, "Oh, I can suffocate this person." Like it's just not in his. That's like me cursing all the time. It's just not in my vocabulary.
I'm gonna say that he would have to be really close to Pali to do it, which would be very difficult. I think if
That's
he
true.
can get there, I think he can do it. I have no issue with him. Like it's battle royale. He can kill people.
I don't think he can like kill people.
He can kill people.
No, I think even in this, I think we remove emotion of like. I don't think I would never do death matches. I think you still, if that's the case, then I'm like, oh well, Katara could bloodbend, even though Katara doesn't bloodbend. Like that's not. I never put bloodbending in her arsenal because she has vowed against bloodbending.
Okay. So you don't think she would use bloodbending if she could get close enough to Zahir or Pali to do it?
No, no, that's not. Katara would never use bloodbending.
Okay. That's a.
Just the same way the Aang would never kill.
I think that feels like a valid argument. If you're removing, essentially bloodbending from Katara.
I sound way too argumentative, and I feel like this might be the most argumentative.
No, that's fine. I think that I would enjoy creating a situation where they would like it is part of the deal. Like, hey, nope, it is a death match or whatever. Like whatever you got to do. That way you are forced to use your skills to their maximum. I'd love to see Katara bloodbend. I'd love to see Aang suffocate people. Tenzin, love to see Tenzin suffocate some folks.
That never happened.
In this hypothetical.
It's like, yeah, have Superman fight.
You know what else never happened? Yue in a fight. Yeah, here she is, Chris. Here she is.
The other way to take out a combustion bender is to knock them out. But like Aang doesn't really have direct like attack like that. Like he
doesn't, but there again, I have no issue seeing him throwing projectile using a combination of airbending and earthbending. I don't know how good he'd be at it, but he's a resourceful kid. I think he'd pick up projectiles and start flinging them from a distance. She doesn't have a great defense mechanism for projectiles being thrown. Maybe that is kind of a weakness for her, demonstrably. She does not have a great defense mechanism for projectiles being thrown at her. Like, she's not going to combustion bend individual pebbles out of the air,
No, I think she just puts up like a fire, like she's fire bends at it and it slows it. I think in order for the projectile thing to work, the combustion bender would have to be distracted or not see it coming. So like combustion man didn't see it coming. Pali, when she first got knocked out in the episode when Bolin knocked her out, she was looking up and was distracted by that. And then in the fight where she died, Lin distracted her while Su Yin got her. Mm-hmm. And so like it takes that distraction. So, Katara would have to be the distracting one for Aang to do this, but Katara would also have her hands full with Zahir. So I think Aang would probably be able to like have a little rock, throw it, create some type of air tunnel, but he would need a distraction. And I'm not sure he could get that.
I think he would be able to do it repeatedly, even. But I think I'm getting to the same place as you and agreeing with you of that. I just don't know that Katara is the answer. I don't know if Katara would be able to get close enough to Pali or Zahir to have a useful impact on them. And then Aang's not atrociously offensive either. despite his ability to bend all elements. Like, all right, he's not a lava bender. He's not got really any field control things. Like, you might be throwing rocks at long distances, but he's not like lava, lightning, combustion, like any of those field control things. He's not going to Kyoshi just destroy half the field or anything like that. That's not his jam. So I think I'm leaning Zahir and Pali.
Yeah.
Even if this has been maybe my closest favoritist one so far.
I would take Katara over.
No,
I'm sorry.
Other way.
I would take Zahir and Pali over Aang and Katara.
I think that's been my most fun to think about so far.
Yeah.
Chris, the 2-3.
This was going to be hard.
The 2-3. That's a lot of fun. Kyoshi and Rangi versus Korra and Mako. You have an Avatar and a Firebender.
That's kind of funny.
The one thing that just comes to mind immediately is that one of the Firebenders is a Lightning Bender. Maybe that's not a huge deal. It probably is in this case. It probably is a huge deal, I think. But it's really sad because, man, I just want Kyoshi to trash the whole field. They blow the whistle and she just folds it in half or some. I love that element of Kyoshi's game of just the mass control in the literal sense. But it's not like Korra's not exactly a slouch earthbender.
Yeah,
it's not something she's not used to.
Korra's not as powerful as Kyoshi. Few are in terms of earthbending, but she's more skilled. Kyoshi's not skilled really at anything.
Yeah, I don't think that Kyoshi needs to be in this case. I think mass brute force is going to win a lot of fights. I don't know if it's going to win this one in particular, but I think that's what Kyoshi would do in this environment is try to blow the place up. Yeah, try to squash them against the ceiling on the ground they stand on or whatever. Again, I don't know that it would work, but I think that's what she would do. That is her strength.
Yeah. Now the only...
She broke off an island, Chris. An island.
Yeah, that was Avatar State.
You're right. No, you're right.
The thing is, Kyoshi had a fight with Ju, who was a lightning bender, and she...
True.
Ju? That's you. And he shocked her.
That's how we have chosen to say it repeatedly.
Yeah. I don't know how they pronounce their Eds.
No idea.
Might be two syllables.
Zoo. Maybe they just do a straight Z. I don't know. Like xylophone.
So she did fight a lightning bender, who probably wasn't as good as Mako. It was hard to say. He was able to. Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but I know we sometimes are on slightly different sides of this argument, but like the art of firebending of lightning bending by Mako's time, like I would be tempted to give him the benefit of the doubt. There's no shock and surprise, pun intended, to lightning bending anymore. I think he would probably be more practiced at it.
Yeah. Oh, what was I saying? So she beat him, but Mako is also not like that guy was kind of gloating. Like to him, he was almost monologuing.
He was absolutely.
And also Kyoshi kind of did
our second Incredibles reference in as many weeks.
I think she kind of needed the Avatar State to defeat Zhu. And yes. She kind of. It's hard to. Maybe I'm not. She did I wouldn't say she redirected the lightning at him, but she grabbed his leg, right, and then he was shot by the lightning, and he did yell out and shock. Yeah. But I don't think right then at that point he was defeated. I think he probably could have kept fighting. Do you think I'm remembering that right?
Yes, but the one counter I'm gonna say is that she did go into the Avatar State, and that is what beat him. My recollection is that she did need it at that time. But I just in is it fair to say that Kyoshi knows what lightning bending is in this fight now? And she knows, I pictured they're
Yeah.
watching game film, they're watching the previous fight. She's like, "Oh crap, that guy's a lightning bender." It's not going to
Oh
catch
yeah.
her
I
off
mean,
guard
yeah.
this time. That's got a little weight to it in my mind.
Yeah.
A little.
Although Kyoshi's not. I think Kyoshi would. I think every time Mako would lightning bend at her, she would put up an earth wall, which should be good
It
enough to deflect the.
would probably explode it every time, but I think she could probably throw
Absolutely.
up
Yeah.
earth walls as
Yes.
fast and effectively.
Yes.
So my gut is that my gut is Korra and Mako because I think that Mako is better than Rangi, not through any fault of Rangi's own, just he's a great
Lightning
firebender and he has lightning bending. Right? She might be
Yeah.
a better firebender, but he's also a great firebender with lightning bending. And that if Korra can survive these tactics that I've invented for Kyoshi in my mind, which is just mass, like large scale elemental destructions, like maybe if Korra's prepared for that, and she can some power through it, defend her way through it, and make it a up close and personal fight, then Korra would definitely win. So that's why I'm leaning Korra and Mako, begrudgingly but satisfactorily.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning there too. It's close. It's like, to me, that's like a 51-49 kind of deal.
I think so. I think, or like, I think last one, the previous fight might have been like 51-49. This is like 52-48, right? It's like a half a hair lower, but still,
Yeah.
obscenely close. All right, so WV2, and then that leaves us with our championship bout. Is Korra and Mako versus Zahir and Pali. The irony here, and pun intended, no metal benders. Pali is safe.
Well, Korra's a metal bender.
Oh, that's right. She does metal bend, doesn't she?
But she does.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Look out, Pali.
That is the thing. Wow. So I think Zahir versus Korra. I think Korra would win that 1v1 fully healthy.
Same.
But Pali is a combustion bender. It's like combustion versus lightning. What the heck happened? They're both.
I think that's fun, or what makes that fun is that to me, if I was a combustion bender, metal would be like the element that would be the most defensive against it, right? Because metal's not going to explode. It dent, maintain its shape. Like, I think that metal bending is a good foil to combustion bending. And on the other side, I think that lightning versus airbending, like, I think that airbending is probably the element I would want to be to avoid lightning bending, just from like a quick deftness. Not that it's a horrible matchup there, but like I think that Zahir and Korra are kind of the right foils for the range of Mako and Pali's unique bending abilities. Mako versus Pali. So, but does one have more value than the other?
That's the thing. Like, combustion bending is probably slower. Oh, it's definitely slower than lightning.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they're both fast, but like lightning is literal lightning, so that makes sense.
And it's not like she would be able to fire bend through it or block it or any way. She doesn't have any type of redirection. Man, the thing is, coming into this fight, I thought it might be a clear win because like Pali, I feel like in this tournament, Pali has been wrecking shop. And I thought coming into this fight that, and I'm not decided yet, but I thought that it would be a easy win not easy, but it'll be a clear win for Zahir and Glee because combustion bending is so difficult. Like if somehow
I think I have come to an
Zahir was
answer.
able to,
I'm curious to like hear the rest of your rationale, but I'm pretty sure I've got my thought process down.
I think if it was Zahir, I think if in the fight, the way Zahir and Pali could win is if Pali fights Korra. I thought Korra has metal. She could,
I think metal's the
but she
most
was still,
useful versus combustion. It's not
yeah,
going to explode. It might last more than, like she's not going to have to keep throwing up rock wall after rock wall after rock wall.
yeah, she could like, yeah.
And also, she is a waterbender, which I know is maybe not obscenely helpful, but maybe the combination of those two things, a wet shield.
You can always also throw up Mist Shield. They don't. She hasn't. She's never. No, she's done that before. That created cover with Mist. Like once a combustion bender can't see where they headed at, that makes them little. Although, well, I didn't give Katara that edge.
I
Or
mean, we could have. I don't
I
know if
think,
that how much that
yeah.
would have
I
changed.
just
I don't
didn't.
think.
I just didn't think about it, but also the result probably would have been the same.
I think
Um,
so. Just at a quick glance backward, I don't think that would have changed much. So I think she
yeah,
can do it here. I think you can let her do it here. But I think that's going to impede, Mako just as much. So, how much advantage are you gaining?
that's true. Um, hmm.
Uh,
Although, would Zahir be able to take out how fast? Because I think the lightning again is a
Lightning's
man.
faster. The reason that I'm leaning Korra and Mako is that everything that Zahir and Pali could do and throw, there's just like a little better counter on the other side. Like I do think in this case that lightning would be a little more useful than combustion. Zahir, if there is a downfall, the offense that he can create is at least limited. I know he can fly, but it's at least a limited amount of offense. Um, uh, and I think that Korra is probably the most diversely equipped to handle that. Like, there's no even Mako versus Zahir. I still would kind of like Mako's chances, and Korra versus Pali, I think she would be okay, right? So no matter how I flip it, it's like there just is a slight edge to me for Korra and Mako.
I think this fight's really, really freaking close. Like the, I think Zahir's initial tactics are like flying in and out and stuff, but I think he'll have to change that to more close combat. That way, because Mako doesn't use lightning like he rarely ever uses it in close combat because it's such a weird thing. So Zahir would have to get in close combat with Mako, even though after he got flight, like kind of negates the flight thing. He doesn't really use flight in close combat fights. Even though we've never really seen him in a close combat fight after he unlocks
Chris,
ability to fly.
you know what else we've never seen before? Zahir flying while Pali's alive.
We are making the assumption here that he has the ability of flight
I
in
don't know
this.
why that's so funny to me. So my thought process for that is, what if Zahir had picked up Pali and just flown around, and I was like, can his flight sustain the weight of another person?
I
And
don't.
I was like,
Well,
oh,
yes, yeah. He did carry
he
Korra.
did. So
He
it
was able
could,
to
because
carry.
that's what I was thinking. He'd just fly her around and just like a
Yeah,
flying
that
cannon.
would
It'd be
be.
awesome.
What is it? Just
Oh, and the best
like
part
also how
is,
would
Chris, what if he was flying her around and he was also like able to like, I don't know, just like kick up a bunch of dust around them, and she could combustion bend into that general area. That could be kind of fun. If he kicks up something using airbending just to obscure them a little bit, and then just taking pot
yeah.
shots at those areas, that could
I'm
be
not sure
interesting.
he's that. I'm not sure he's that strong to
That's a
carry
lot,
her.
right? He's not only flying, he's carrying a person. Kenny
who
had that
is
third element.
bending. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
And then
uh,
the question becomes, could Mako then, the downside of that is if he hit them both at the same time.
true. That's a
So
huge target.
it was a
But that's
fun
and
thought
also he's going
experiment.
probably slower with
Yeah.
carrying fully.
I think physics apply, yeah. It was a
Yeah.
fun thought experiment. I'm glad my brain went down that road for a moment, but I don't think it changed my answer.
If I'm close to 50-50 on it, because I can kind of go back and forth between the two, and you're more so leaning Mako and Korra.
I'm at least
And,
60-40. I don't see it. I don't
oh wow,
see.
you're 40. Okay.
I don't see enough scenarios where I think Puli and Zahir can get the upper hand. I just don't.
All right. Well, then the official Avatar power couple is Korra and Mako, which is interesting because they broke up.
I, the power couple that didn't make it. Listen, your Valentine and you may not make it either, you general audience member, and that's okay. You move on. You get an Asami. It'll happen for
No,
you
you're gonna
too.
be together forever.
It'll
You're gonna be
happen.
together forever, unless you've already broken up, and then you'll find someone new,
Then you'll find
and
somebody
you'll
new.
be
That's right. Keep those happy thoughts in your head.
together.
Chris, in retrospect, the one thing that I like best or that I would like to delve more into here is I can't get over this idea of like a referee blowing a whistle from afar and Kyoshi just tearing half the stadium a new one. And I love the concept of like an instant TKO just by nature of mass destruction. I love it. And I think
Yeah.
if there's one thing that I wouldn't say take back, but one thing that I'd like to explore further thought process of is like, could Kyoshi do that every time and win every fight? And I think, I don't know, maybe. Like, what's the peak of her earthbending, without the Avatar state, and is it tear up half a stadium worthy? I don't know. I'd like to think about it. I'd like to find some Kyoshi strength parameters, but again, but I know it's just because I love Kyoshi. Man, is she my favorite Avatar character? She might be. She might
Interesting. It's a great book.
be. It is. It is maybe my favorite book, which is admittedly a small list of potential candidates.
My daughter's been like slowly reading the first book,
Good.
and she had the book out in class, and she said the teacher just would like if someone's reading something, he'll just randomly, or he sees a book out, he'll just randomly pick up the book and just start reading out of it, just for
See what
fun.
they're up to. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, "What the heck is, or what am I reading here?" But I'm also curious to know like what was he
I
reading?
want to know what
My
part.
daughter,
Yeah, what part did he pick up?
yeah,
Did he pick up a good
yeah,
part or a bad part? Not a bad part, just like a part that does not represent the Avatar universe.
yeah.
Interestingly, yeah. But what a great book, Chris. We did it. We proved it with science once again because all of our stuff is rooted in science.
This
Happy.
was a longer episode than I thought it would be.
Oh, that's fine. That's great. That's great. The next we haven't. I don't know if we decided yet. We'll decide in a couple minutes. We might do one or two that are just. I don't like the term fillers, but I got a baby and I want to take naps, and so we're gonna do maybe one or two like short things just because I like keeping stuff up and talking about stuff every week. And we'll let you know. Hopefully, I'll have a baby by next week. Maybe by now. We'll see. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm Shawn. That's Chris, aka the Objective Geek. Thanks for watching. Do all the positive comments, reviews, likes, thumbs up, bells, subscriptions, etc. We appreciate it all. And I'll leave all the info in the description. And thanks. Have a nice evening.